Okay, had a little technical difficulty into that last scene there. So I'm going to, although this is for Act 1, Scene 4, I'm going to backtrack and cover that last page and a half because there's some important dialogue going on as we meet these characters for the first time. We do want to think about that, and so I think it's worthwhile. So here we go. So Laertes and Ophelia are finishing saying goodbye to each other before Laertes takes off. Here we go.
And remember well what I have said to you.
'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it.
Oh. Farewell.
Okay, so at this point, Laertes is gone, right? And Ophelia is left alone with her father.
What is't, Ophelia, he hath said to you?
So please you, something touching my Lord Hamlet.
Marry, well bethought. 'Tis told me he hath very oft of late given private time to you, and you yourself have of your audience been most free and bounteous. If it be so, as so 'tis put on me, and that in way of caution, I must tell you, you do not understand yourself so clearly as it behoves my daughter and your honor. What is between you? Give me of the truth.
Man, it sucks to be Ophelia, doesn't it? It wasn't enough that you had this awkward conversation with your brother. Now you have to have, apparently, the same conversation with your father, who starts off by telling you you don't understand yourself. Wow, way to mansplain, Polonius.
He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me.
Affection? Pooh! You speak like a green girl, unsifted in such perilous circumstance. Do you believe his tenders, as you call them?
I do not know, my lord, what I should think.
Marry, I'll teach you. Think yourself a baby that you obtain his tenders for true pay which are not sterling. Tender yourself more dearly, or, not to crack the wind of the poor phrase, running it thus, you tender me a fool.
My lord, he hath importuned me with love in honourable fashion.
Aye, fashion you may call it, goat.
And hath given countenance to his speech, my lord, with almost all the holy vows of heaven.
Aye, springes to catch woodcocks.
So think to yourself here, what is Ophelia trying to express as the nature of her relationship with Hamlet? What is she trying to convince her father of? And then what is Polonius nevertheless seemed to be not only concerned, but really alarmed with and angry and annoyed? What are the motivations of each one, in other words?
I do know when the blood burns how prodigal the soul lends the tongue vows. These blazes, daughter, giving more light than heat, extinct in both, even in their promise as it is a making, you must not take for fire. From this time be somewhat scanter of your maiden presence. Set your entreatments at a higher rate than a command to parley. For Lord Hamlet believes so much in him that he is young, and with a larger tether may he walk than may be given you. In few, Ophelia, do not believe his vows, for they are brokers, not of the dye which their investments show, but mere implorators of unholy suits, breathing like sanctified and pious bawds, the better to beguile. This is for all. I would not in plain terms from this time forth have you so slander any moment leisure as to give words or talk with the Lord Hamlet. Look to it, I charge you. Come your ways.
I shall obey, my lord.
Man, oh man, oh man. Okay, I forbid you to see him. Are the points that he makes pretty similar to what Laertes makes? Regardless, this is a really unpleasant situation for Ophelia, right? We also might question, character-wise, from what we've seen of Hamlet, what we continue to see from him, is he the type of person who would be viewing his relationship with Ophelia the way, value or not value it, have time for it or not have time for it, the way that Laertes and even maybe more so Polonius accuse him of? Okay, think to yourself about that as the story now and as the story continues. Okay, so that takes us up into scene 4, and we'll go ahead and do this in its entirety in this session here. So on the platform, right, we know this is going to happen. Hamlet is with Horatio and Marcellus, and we know why they're there. They're hoping the ghost makes another appearance and it will actually talk or interact with Hamlet, horrifying as that would be for Hamlet, who's in mourning anyway, obviously.
The air bites shrewdly. It is very cold.
It is a nipping and an eager air.
What hour now?
I think it lacks of 12.
No, it is struck.
Indeed? I heard it not. And it
So it's
draws near
midnight.
the season wherein the spirit held his wont to walk. What does this mean, my lord?
The king doth wake tonight and takes his rouse, keeps wassail, and the swaggering upspring reels. And as he drains his draughts of Rhenish down, the kettle drum and trumpet thus bray out the triumph of his pledge.
Is it a custom?
Aye, merriest. But to my mind, though I am native here and to the manor born, it is a custom more honoured in the breach than the observance.
Okay, so Hamlet sounds critical of something we've had a couple hints about that are going on, and that seems to be a whole lot of partying going around Elsinore in the castle, which might seem kind of strange with the overall situation, both because it's maybe inappropriate, with the switching that's gone on recently, and also because, Fortinbras is out there with a big army of mercenaries, right? And they're supposed to be prepared for this. So is everybody like drunk and hungover and stuff, and partying, like flipping back shots and stuff? I don't know, but Hamlet doesn't sound very approving of it, does he? Seems to be pretty serious. He's a pretty serious guy.
This heavy-headed revel east and west makes us traduced and taxed of other nations. They clap us drunkards, and with swinish phrase soil our addition. And indeed it takes from our achievements, though performed at height, the very pith and marrow of our attributes. So oft it chances in particular men, that for some vicious mole of nature in them as in their birth, wherein they are not guilty, since nature cannot choose his origin, by the o'ergrowth of some complexion, oft breaking down the pales and forts of reason, or by some habit that too much o'erleavens the form of plausive manners, that these men carrying, I say, the stamp of one defect, being nature's livery or fortune's star, his virtues else be they as pure as grace, as infinite as man may undergo, shall in the general censure take corruption from that particular fault. The dram of evil doth all the noble substance overdaub to his own scandal.
Okay, so not exactly a soliloquy there, but he does kind of hold forth for a while, and we want to kind of think about, there's several different guys who talk for a long time. Claudius talks for a long time. Polonius talks for a long time. Laertes to some degree. Now Hamlet does, right? Now, is he really getting something worthwhile across? Is he analyzing something seriously? Is he a real person, a deep person? He seems to be expressing some concern about the security of Denmark, right? Which you would think the king would be doing too. Is he doing that or not? We'll see. All right. Anyway, if you notice the stage, and looking back at that, there's a lot of little footnotes. Okay, that'll help you kind of get through that. All right. So enter Ghost. Here we go.
My lord, it comes. Angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Be thou a spirit of health or goblin damned, bring with thee airs from heaven or blasts from hell. Be thy intent wicked or charitable, thou comest in such a questionable shape that I will speak to thee. I'll call thee Hamlet, king, father, royal Dane, oh answer me! Let me not burst in ignorance, but tell why thy canonized bones, hersed in death, have burst their cerements. Why the sepulchre, wherein we saw thee quietly inurned, hath oped his ponderous and marble jaws to cast thee up again. What may this mean? That thou dead corpse again in complete steel revisit thus the glimpses of the moon, making night hideous, and we, fools of nature, so horridly to shake our disposition with thoughts beyond the reaches of our souls. Say, why is this? Wherefore? What should we do?
All right, you want a prose paraphrase of that? Dad, what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be dead. What's going on?
It beckons you to go away with it, as if it's some impartment it desire to you alone.
With what courteous action it waves you to a more removed ground.
But do not go with it! No, by no means.
It will not speak. Then I will follow it.
Do not, my lord!
Why, what should be the fear? I do not set my life at a pin's fee and...
Interesting line there. I do not set my life at a pin's fee. What does that tell us about Hamlet as a character? Kind of like his soliloquy before, kind of adding up to a certain attitude he has about his life, at this point at least.
For my soul, what can it do to that, being a thing immortal as itself? It waves me forth again. I'll follow it.
What if it tempt you toward the flood, my lord? or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles o'er his base into the sea, and there assume some other horrible form, which might deprive your sovereignty of reason and draw you into madness. Think of it! The very place puts toys of desperation without more motive into every brain that looks so many fathoms to the sea and hears it roar beneath.
He waves me still. Go on! I'll follow thee!
Okay, so his friends obviously are desperately trying to stop him from following the ghost to some unknown location away from them because it's scary. They don't know what this thing is. You know, is it a demon in disguise? We don't know.
Shall not go, my lord!
Hold off your hand!
Be ruled, you shall not go!
My fate cries out, and makes these petty artery in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still am I called. Unhand me, gentlemen! By heaven, I'll make a ghost of him that lets me! I say away! Go on! I'll follow thee!
Remember, just means you. I'll follow you, right? The thou, it's just you and your. No big deal. So he's telling the ghost, all right, I'm going to follow you. I'm not scared. I don't care. I got to find out what's going on here.
He waxes desperate with imagination.
Let's follow. 'Tis not fit thus to obey him.
Have after. To what issue will this come?
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
Heaven will direct it.
Nay, let's follow him.
Okay, that is the end of scene 4. So you might recognize that line there. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. And that's come to be kind of a euphemism for something. If you kind of generalize, universalize that, you could probably figure out what it means, right? Do that on your own. All right, I'm going to stop the session and we will pick up with scene 5, which is the last scene of the act. This didn't take as long as I thought. I hope this is helping.